Previously, we started setting up our text objects on our inventory screen, but we talked about how you can't really get accuracy by just manually dragging them in, really. I mean, you can, but it's painstaking. Instead, we would much rather have code set this up for us. That way we can generate them on the fly when need be. But you want to figure out sort of the correct math here, the measurement, and I'm going to give you just an easy sort of trick for doing some math here. All of our math is going to be done based on 0.00 in the inventory container itself, not from the screen, okay, but from the container itself. And here's what we're going to do. Let's hit the plus sign here, and let's hit the sprite, and we're going to call this the dummy object and hit the plus sign here. Then we're going to edit this with Piskel, and it's actually quite a good little program here. You could certainly make all of your sprites via Piskel. I'm just used to using Paint 3D, just easier for me. This is a 32 by 32 canvas here, and we're just going to make a little rectangle here. There it is. And let's fill it with a color that'll show up more easily, like red. There we go. Okay. This whole thing is 32 by 32. We know that this rectangle is 32 width here. Yeah, the length here is 32, right? The height, of course, is different. But let's hit save. Okay, we're going to use this as a reference point and sort of cheat a little bit. Let's drag the dummy object out here, and let's reference it with our inventory layer so we can see it. And here's what we're going to do. Let me bring up a brand new notepad here. We need to get some measurements, and we're going to use this as our stick. So let's say that we want to gauge the distance from the edge. Let me zoom in here so you can see what I mean. Our measurement is going to start at the edge here for the X position. So let's put this at the edge. Okay, and let's figure out where we want our slot 1 text to be. Well, how does this look right now? It looks pretty good. Maybe we can move it over a little bit more, right? Maybe move this one over a little bit more. How does that look? That looks pretty good. All right, so we're going to tell the code that we want to generate this slot 1 always here in our inventory screen. And for that, we need the X coordinate. So let's put this at the edge. There it is. And now let's change the width of this to the edge of our slot 1 text. And let's get the width of our object here, our dummy object, which is kind of our ruler. And it's a 45 width. So we know that our first X position, we'll call it X1, is going to equal 45 pixels from the left of the inventory container. That's where we're going to reference this off of. Now, how about this one? We'll call this one X2. The distance, let's just stretch this out. Well, now what's the width? 171. So our X2 is going to be 171 pixels, and this is from the edge of the inventory container, right, for text object 2. Let me do that. And what about slot 3? The width here is 314. So x3 equals 314 pixels from the edge. How about this second row? Let's go ahead and do this. Looks pretty good actually where it is, I think. Maybe a little bit over more. Sure. Yeah, that's fine. So let's get the x position here for this one. What's the width? Make sure you're at the edge of the container. 110. So x4 position is 110 pixels. This is the second row. And our x5 there we go. 248 is our x5. 248 pixels. Now we have our x's, right? We have the x position for where these are going to show up. We need the y. The good news is that the y is going to stay the same for these three, and the y is going to stay the same for these two. And we can still use our dummy object here to help us out. We might need a little bit more distance here between these, right? Because we want to have our, we'll still have some room at the bottom for our buttons, but we want to have some room for these little sprites that we're going to make for pictures. So let's get the distance from the top here. Do not use the red here. Now you're using the actual object itself. Make sure you're at the top, right there, and let's drag this down. Okay, so let's go to our properties. What's the height? 90. So our coordinates here, y1 equals 90, and they're all going to equal 90. So y2 is going to equal 90, y3 is going to equal 90 because these are the same. All three of these are going to have the same y. This one, however, let's move this over and line it up. The height is 164. So for this one, our y4 is going to be 164, and so is our y5.